For there was a beautiful village, and the streets, they shined like gold, though there was no gold in the street. And the people, they had so much food that it even showed in their stomachs. And their children, when they went out to play, they wore such colorful clothes. And on a beautiful day in summer, an old lady hobbled into the town, all the way to the town square. All the people gathered, wondering, who could this be? One of the elders of the town approached the woman. "Welcome to our town. What have you here for us?"
"Well, I have, you see, in this wooden cart, 12 books, and these books represent all of the knowledge of the world and all of the wisdom of the world, and you can have them if you pay me 1 sack of gold."
Well, everyone laughed. 1 sack of gold for books? No, I don't think so.
"Ah, very well, but then may I have some firewood?"
And so the townspeople brought the old lady firewood, and right there in the middle of the town square, she began a bonfire. And she turned to her books, and she took 6 of those 12 books, and she tossed it on the fire. And the people gasped. And then she took her wooden cart, she placed the 6 remaining books, and she hobbled out of that town. Well, a few months later, the streets didn't shine as much as it did before, and the people, they did have food, but they weren't showing as much in their stomachs. And the children, when they ran out, instead of colorful clothes, they were now faded. And the old lady, she approached the town, and someone called everyone together.
"I have 6 books, and they represent half of the world's knowledge and half of the world's wisdom. And you can have them if you pay me 2 sacks of gold."
Well, everyone gasped. They couldn't believe that offering half as many books and yet doubling the price, they wouldn't agree to this.
"Ah, that is okay. Then may I have some firewood?"
Well, the people, they reluctantly gave the firewood. And that old lady made a bonfire. And then she turned to those 6 books. She took 3 of those books, and she placed it on the fire. And they poofed into smoke and ashes. The old lady took the 3 remaining books. She put them in her cart, and she hobbled out of the town. Well, a few months later, in that town, well, the street was pretty dusty. And when it came to the people, they were on the thin side. And for their children, they ran about in faded clothes with holes in them. And then the old lady hobbled into town. Everyone gathered, everyone murmured.
"I have 3 books, and they represent 1/4 of the world's knowledge and 1/4 of the world's wisdom. And you can have them if you pay me 4 sacks of gold."
Again, everyone gasped. They were having hard times. There was a famine. There was no way that they could spare 4 sacks of gold.
"Ah, very well. Then have you any firewood?"
"No, we will not give you firewood. In fact, just to make sure, let us read these 3 books and see if they are really as valuable as you say."
"Ah, I see what you're trying to do, but no, it will not work. And I don't need your firewood because I can use this."
And the old lady grabbed one of the books and ripped some of the pages out and started a fire from those pages. And then she took 1 more book and she placed it on the fire. And then she took the 1 remaining book and her cart and she hobbled out of town. When the old lady was gone, everyone ran over to the ashes, hoping that maybe there was a piece of paper, something that had a little bit of knowledge on it. but everything was gone. Well, a few months later, that town, I don't think it even had streets. And the people, you could see the bones right through their skin. And their children, they were lucky to even have clothes on to run about in the town. And the old lady, she hobbled back into the town. And she had the one book. And in case you're wondering, I even brought my own firewood since I have enough in the cart. And yes, this one book represents 1/12 of all of the world's knowledge and 1/12 of all of the world's wisdom. Oh yes, we so want to have this book. We know we need to be much wiser. In fact, we have saved, even though we have little here, we have saved all our gold. And since you always double your price, we have 8 sacks of gold for you. Ah, but you are wrong. For I ask for 16 sacks of gold. This is quite valuable. The people didn't know what to do. Ah, you do not have it. Well, then I know what to do. Stop! Don't set it to fire. And all the people, they ran into their homes, and they scoured across the floor and in the bare cabinets, and anything that glittered, anything that glistened, even the family heirlooms, they brought them out. And the town, they barely filled 16 sacks. Ah, so you have met the payment. You are wise already. And the old lady gave that last book. And the townspeople, right then and there, they opened up the pages and they read and they read. And even into the night, with the little oil that they had, they read into the night. And when they finished, they smiled. And the old lady watched all of this. Ah, I can see that you have gained much knowledge and wisdom from this one book. Imagine what would have happened if you would have bought all 12. And to this day, we are all on a search for knowledge. For 11 books of knowledge are out there. And every time we learn something, we get a little bit closer of what that old lady had.